And right into the stretch, looking back and throws up the middle. Rose is on his way around. Picked up by Otis.
Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now? I say, here comes the boom, ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Boom, here comes the boom, ready or not. How you like me now?
You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
You are watching live to the best damn Cincinnati sports podcast this side of the Neverland Ranch. Pay attention to your kids, folks. My name's Santori Miles. We got Cincy James. We got Greg Luther. We got Bengal Dad. How we doing? How we doing?
Happy post-draft.
Woo!
Fantastic.
Got some people in here. Houday,
What's up, J-Lack?
Darth Bengal,
Darth.
Matt Walker, pork chop up in here. Wish I had some pork chops right now. Be tasty. So we had a little thing go on over the weekend, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did.
Dad's favorite thing every year.
Yep.
The draft.
I'm fully expecting him to lead this show.
The draft. We had some great food, even though our host kept thinking he didn't cook it right. He kept thinking, did I cook this right? I'm like, dude, it's because Santori here is a very hard critic with himself.
I am paranoid every time I cook food that it came out terrible.
Was awesome, man.
Every single piece of food that you cooked was amazing.
Santori, every single piece of food was a Joe Burrow cooked food. It wasn't even an Andy Dalton.
Ooh. That's a compliment of the highest regard.
Yep.
Well done. Oh, well, Santori, we didn't get Sydney, but we got his broski. I
was talking to Dad. I was like, and it was funny because I had told Dad, I was like, I got my running back. And he's like, who's your running back? I said, Chase Brown. He said, that's your running back? And I was like, I'm pulling up tweets from February. But I'm like, yeah, this was my guy. This is one of the first ones I picked out. I still think his brother's probably the better player. I hope to be wrong. But I hope they both have great careers. You know, that's a fantastic story with those brothers. But, man, I'm happy.
It was an overall, I feel like, a pretty solid weekend. Starting Thursday, nobody knew what was going to happen. Everybody was pulling for the hometown kid. All of a sudden, guess what? Michael Mayer is not getting picked.
Yep. I mean, I was at Paycor.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
That wasn't me this time?
The whole time we were waiting, Greg, so you just went frozen.
I did not go. I'm good now.
I know, but you went frozen. Go ahead and say it again.
Wait, go on. Oh, no. Everybody thought it was going to be Michael Mayer. Everybody in that place. I was like, Pork Chop was with me. He was showing everybody how I was freaking out. Oh, please give me Michael Mayer. And then when the pick got announced, everybody just froze and all that and stuff. But as I calmed down, I said, look, we got the pass rusher. Let's move on from this. As I was talking to Santori, I even asked Santori, he's like, Santori knew exactly what the Bengals were going to do. But Santori would be like, this is what I want, but I know what the Bengals are going to do. And Santori was right.
Consensus top
20. I'm
20.
getting all kinds of love today.
No, I know. But I tell you what, Santori,
I don't even have to take the freaking victory lap.
Santori's
doing it for me.
Santori, man, not just you. Me and Bengal Dad agree on something. We both like the Princeton receiver, Andre Yosivash. Am I right? Did I say it right? Yeah!
Well, he's Chris Henry.
There you go.
He's tall. He's freakishly fast. He's very smooth. He's got great ups.
I mean, for a
he's
sixth-round
going to be good.
Sixth-round pick, this guy, and he wants to learn and all that. And Troy Walter, when he came in for a visit, Troy Walters even said that he was the one Andre was asking the questions and all that. That's how smart this kid is. I mean, I'm just so excited for this preseason to watch him play.
The only reason he didn't go higher is because he played at Princeton.
Exactly.
If he'd have played at, I don't know, Iowa, he'd have been a second or third round pick.
He's not see. All right, James, explain the term prison receiver because
we were on the Bengals and Breeze and Bengals Talk with Strawberry Ice draft coverage on Saturday, and Greg, it did sound like he said prison receiver instead of Princeton receiver.
Right.
So we all just started running with it, and then the chat started going, "Hey, Greg, we got the prison receiver."
Because for those of you know, I talk really fast sometimes, so they're like, "What did you say?"
It's all good. Well, let's save the talk for when we get to these players.
Yeah.
Let's Santori, you want to go ahead and start talking about Birmingham? Real quick, once I decide to actually do what's awesome and play something really, really cool.
Do you like honey? Do you like wine? Do you like meat? I think it's a beer. It's like sitting out on your patio after the draft knowing that you got to go BPA for every single player because your team took care of their shit in free agency. Well, I do too. You know who else likes that? Birmingham Meadery, based out of Delaware. Guess what? They won an award. What was that award, James? Because I can't remember the full name of it.
That was the Delaware Rural Small Business of the Year.
Delaware Rural Small Business of the Year. Even though Delaware is like the size of my left arm, that's still an accomplishment. Give it up to our boys at Birmingham. Use our code HOODAY9 to get 15% off 2 bottles or more. Shipping across the United States. Even you, Montana. That's all I got.
Even you, I love it. All right. And we do have one other sponsor, Three-Way City, bringing the sights and culture of Cincinnati to fashion, named after the traditional Cincinnati-style chili spaghetti. Our good friend, Adam Rennell, pictured right there in that awesome Three-Way City jacket. He founded Three-Way City with this in mind. From hats to shirts to jackets, grab a piece of Cincinnati on threewaycity.com today. And he actually put a tweet out earlier today saying he might have got his first vendor opportunity. So that's big news for him as well. So being able to see all this awesome stuff.
Those look like the hats in my car that we can give away.
I know, right?
We're going to give away more. We gotta talk about how we're going to do it, but we'll talk about that off air. How about that?
Yeah.
I know what we're not going to do. We're not going to pay $23 a box for shipping, Greg.
Hey, it got to them the next day. That was my bad, guys. I panicked.
Foxy was a recipient. It got there super fast, didn't it, Foxy?
So, Santori, you just had to rub that. Here I am complimenting you, and you come at me for this. Thanks a lot.
I will always take the opportunity to dig at everybody, regardless.
Come on, guys. I'm excited. Let's talk about the draft.
Let's talk about All right, let's talk about the draft.
So, 2023 or the 2023, like that, everybody couldn't.
Yeah, no one can say 2023 to save their life.
No, they cannot.
Don't know
Yotzi
what's going on there. Let's go ahead and start. We've got 8 picks that we need to go over. The first one being Miles Murphy, the defensive end out of Clemson.
We have our own Miles now on defense.
Yes, best Miles in the AFC North.
That's right.
Wow, thanks.
He's four numbers higher than theirs is.
Yeah.
That must make him better.
So, who wants to start?
Santori, you take it from here.
Oh.
Here, I'll start since you're like struggling.
I was going to say, man.
Apparently, this guy's only got one move. He does the left arm stiff arm. He needs to work on a few other techniques, or he's going to be very, very ineffective in the NFL. That's my take.
There you go.
I think there's a lot of value in the pick just because of where he was projected to go. I didn't really watch him a ton. The times that I did watch him, I was a little underwhelmed. I'm not going to lie. The thing that kept coming back to me, and this was an inside joke between my dad and I, Michael Johnson. We always used to say Michael Johnson got kind of close and got in the area.
He's in the neighborhood.
Michael Johnson says hello, but he never quite finished the sack. He would just kind of run by and hi guys, and I get a lot of Michael Johnson vibes. And then it's funny. I was looking at percentiles today for production, and he's one of the better run stoppers. So he gets in the area and he stops the run, which is, that's kind of what Sam Hubbard was when he first started out, and that's still kind of what he is. But
he's a little thicker than Michael Johnson.
Yeah, he's He's
Pick
probably
her.
going to have about the same production type as Sam Hubbard. Maybe some guy you can move around. I mean, he's very intelligent player, very athletic player, but the production's not his best friend. So maybe it's a situation where Marion Hobby is going to figure some stuff out. This defense is going to be fun. Yeah. So I don't know. He's not one of those guys that jumps off the page. But there's definite traits and there's definite positives. There's more to like than there is to dislike. There's nothing he does wrong, but there's nothing exceptional either, if that makes sense.
I got you. Greg, you want to go ahead?
You know what? Like I say, I mean, this is premium value right here. I mean, great defensive end. I mean, Marion Hobby's got good connections with Clemson since he worked there. I trust Marion Hobby 100%. If he wants this guy, then I have no doubt. I mean, the guy's got great measurables, great RAS score. I mean, if he just gets the right coaching, it sounds like he's ready to go. I mean, you know, I've said this after the season ended and all that. We need to put more pressure on the quarterback, and I think this guy can provide us for that.
You know, 6'5", 270. That's, you know, he's a tall guy. He had 18 sacks at Clemson in 3 years, which was second in the ACC during that time. So, I mean, it's not huge numbers. And the ACC isn't necessarily known for defense, but
No, but if you're only playing 10, 12 games a year, that's a sack every other day.
yeah.
I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I like about the pick, Trey Hendrickson kept getting banged up.
Yep.
A bunch. This can limit that. He's going to be a good rotational piece, keeping people fresh, making sure that we're constantly getting pressure and having fresh legs in there, because you're going to have Osai, Miles Murphy, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson. That's pretty big. And from what I've heard, he can actually move inside a little bit too. Not a lot, but he can move inside some. So add him to the line with BJ Hill too and DJ Reader. Sounds pretty solid. I'll take that line all day.
Yep, me too.
Is that it?
Sure.
Well, one more thing I want to add. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, let's move to the next one.
I thought you had one more thing.
Well, I was going to say Trey Henderson's due to make $14.7 million next year. So, I mean, I think this is just writing on the wall. I hate to say that, but, like, you're not going to be able to pay everybody. I think this is writing on the wall for Trey Hendrickson eventually, too.
Well, and Santori has been saying it for how long now? If we're going to be paying the offense and paying a lot of people on the offense a lot of money, what do you got to do? You got to draft your defense. I think, how many times have you said that?
This year or my entire life?
Well, this year leading up to the draft, but yeah, I mean, your entire life, every day.
I've been talking about layering contracts since I was in high school, and
There you go.
that was 12 years ago.
Wait,
Yes.
Is this true, Bengal Dad?
I'm sorry.
Is this true? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know if he had said it when he was in high school, but he said it a long time. He tends to exaggerate all the time.
All right. Oh, whoa.
That's an exaggeration, sir.
But you have been saying it a lot. Like, I feel like it, and this is a compliment. I feel like it's been a broken record. You're trying to get people to listen. You're trying to get people to hear it, and you keep saying it over and over and over again. And people, after the first 2 days of the draft, I think they started to realize it after we went 3 straight defensive picks.
Well, it's not rocket science. I even put out there, and I wish I could find the tweet. Someone blasted me earlier this year and said, "Why do I care about 2 or 3 years from now?" Because that's what you prep for.
Yep.
You prep for 2 to 3 years from now, so you don't get into a situation where you go, "Well, I have no team. What do we want to do?"
Yeah, what is the draft? Like, the draft isn't all day one starters.
Yep.
No, the draft, and this is not a knock on anybody who wants that guy to help set them over the top, because there are those guys in the draft. The draft, for the most part, this isn't a blanket statement, but I would say it's probably 90% true,
Mhm.
It's building for your future 2 to 3 years from now. Okay, so when you want to know what you think your team's going to be like 2 to 3 years from now, well, they drafted all defensive guys, and then they drafted a few wide receivers, which tells me there's some question marks at receiver about current depth and what's really going to be going on a few years from now. I'm not trying to scare the shit out of anybody. I'm not trying to sound the alarms on T. Higgins or anything like that. But Boyd is going to be leaving.
Yep.
Trent Taylor, Trent Irwin, Stanley Morgan, those are not options 2 years from now. I've just named 3 to 4 players
Right.
that are not going to help you 2 years from now. So you better start loading that room back up, whether T. Higgins is here or not.
Right.
So just the draft tells you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you what you think the direction of the team is. And it tells you that they don't anticipate signing a bunch of their current players. I mean, you look at the second round pick, DJ Turner. Well, they already have Cam Britt-Taylor, and they already have, they just signed Sidney Jones, and they had Mike Hilton, and they had Awuzie. Okay, well, 2 of those guys have decent contracts, and they're both up soon. Start doing the math. Oh, well, then why'd they draft a safety? 1, Dax Hill hasn't shown you enough yet. 2, Nick Scott is not an expensive player at all.
Nope.
3, Tyson Anderson. You need somebody there. There is not a bona fide high-end talent there right now except Dax Hill, and he hasn't really proven anything yet. So, I mean, it's more or less pay attention to the draft. It'll tell you what they're going to do, and if you pay attention to how they're doing in free agency and what they're prioritizing in free agency, you'll figure out the draft. And the way these contracts and this current situation with this team is layered, defense is going to be up, then offense is going to be up. They're signing contracts to 3-year deals primarily every single time for a reason. Because they're odd years. You're never going to have a 2-year contract and then a 4-year contract. Your whole team's wiped out on an even year. They're creating a rotation. They're doing it the right way. You just really, really have to pay attention to how the money's being spent, where it's being spent, and when it is being spent, and that'll tell you who they intend on re-signing.
Yep, I agree.
That's why it's not super difficult to necessarily pinpoint a position they're going to draft, and why I was like, guys, they don't use tight ends. They're going to pass on tight end. They're re-signing all these guys on offense, and your defense is up soon. Look for them to draft defense. It's just a giant domino effect. Just pay attention a little bit, and one domino is going to lead to the next. You'll see where it goes.
Well, and I think everybody wanted some type of pass rush in the draft.
Yes.
I think everybody was more hoping towards interior D line, but we got a pass rusher with Miles Murphy. The next guy that we got was DJ Turner. I think everybody thought that they were going to go corner, probably somewhere in the first 3 picks, maybe. DJ Turner, the cornerback out of Michigan. Who wants to start on him? Greg, you want to start on this one?
Why not? I know Ohio State fans are going to be pissed off at this because they're overtaking all the Michigan fans are taking over. The Michigan players taking over. DJ Turner.
Listen. They got to find guys that know how to win in Ohio.
Oh, smack! But anyway, DJ Turner. I remember hearing somewhere that someone said they wouldn't be mad if we took him in the first round. I mean, 4.2 something speed. I mean, guy's got great speed. Can play nickel. Can play the outside. Very versatile. I mean, that's Lou Anarumo all over right there. I mean, this kid. I mean, you got to have speed. I'm more than happy with this pick. I think Santori. I'm going to steal one from you so I don't get accused of plagiarism. You stated that he was we got a top 60 player in the second round. So this was great value here also.
Wait,
Dad?
I just think this signified what the whole draft was. The Bengals were going after speed in almost every round.
Oh, my God.
So they definitely got faster.
Yep.
6.
These might be guys that actually look like they can run fast in a Bengal uniform.
Yep.
It's funny that there's only two guys that don't have exceptional speed in the draft, and one was a punter, and the other was a safety who lays the wood.
Yes.
That punter might be able to run.
He might. Some of those guys can fucking fly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
With that mustache, you know he's aerodynamic.
Yes, Tori, when you changed your Twitter page, I'm like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I am now Brad Robbins' mustache on Twitter. And it's just a zoomed up picture
It's great.
of that beautiful golden mustache.
Yeah.
It's funny because I start searching Santori on there to tag you on something, and then I'm like, no, Brad Robbins, I got to search for that.
Yeah.
So it's literally Brad Robbins,
Yeah.
his official Twitter, and then you that show up.
That's great. But no, Dad's right. They definitely prioritized speed. They didn't take anybody that you're like, well, he really wasn't that fast. They took a bunch of burners.
Yep.
They took a page out of the old Al Davis book.
Right.
The difference is they didn't just take straight line speed. They took really good athletes.
And DJ Turner ran the fastest 40 in the combine.
Yeah, we've done that before, though. Don't put that black magic on him.
You're right. But sorry.
Now, the thing that I like about him, it's one of those things. His film is not flashy, but when you watch it, and every single time, and it's all like every single time he's targeted. And Greg, you always talk about what do you look for when you're scouting different positions.
Right.
When you look at corners, when the ball is closing in on the receiver, how much separation is there between the corner and the receiver? With this guy, he's like a shadow. I mean, he is right there every damn time.
Yes.
I mean, there are times where it's almost like, did he get there too early? Like, that's the thing you're going to have to worry about with him. And that's a good thing. I mean, I'd rather you get there too early and maybe bump the guy and have him running 20 yards down the field by himself, you know?
Right.
It's a really good trait that you constantly see on film is that he's right on the guy's back hip. And the 4.2 that's part of the reason. He's got such good closing speed. He's not going to be somebody you're going to be able to throw deep on because even if you get a step on him, he's going to close.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I like the most is when you would throw like the 5-3 hitches. You know, guy takes a 5-yard hitch, brings it back to 3 yards. You hit him real quick. By the time the guy catches the ball, he's on your hip, driving the shoulder through you.
Mm.
I mean, he is right on guys. He doesn't have a ton of picks. He does have a lot of pass breakups, but there's not going to be a whole lot of yak. It's one of those things that we talked about all year with Lou Anarumo's defense. There's not going to be any splashy plays. They're going to make you go, 15 play drives. When you don't allow receivers to produce after the catch, it's essentially a run.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps it close.
He may struggle a little bit in run support. There's not a lot of size there.
He might, and some of it's size, but some of it's also attitude. I mean, I'm sure the same thing was said about Mike Hilton.
Yep.
But sometimes that's a run support as a corner is one of those things that I say is like blocking for a running back. That's just a will to want to do it. And some guys get off on it. They get a chip on their shoulder. Oh, I'm 5'9". I'm not supposed to be able to hit you like a running back like that. Mike Hilton taking down Derrick Henry. Some guys use that. But no, that's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
And not only is it a concern because of maybe he's not, I believe he's a willing tackler. I do. He's a top pick. But the thing you have to also be concerned about with size is if he does hit a 230-pound back, how often can you do that and hold up?
Right.
This is the AFC North. He is going to see Lamar. He is going to see that Ravens offense. He is going to see Najee Harris. He is going to see Nick Chubb.
Yep.
These are very, very violent run games. It's not a standard run-of-the-mill run game.
Mm-hmm.
So being willing might not be enough. The size should be a little bit of a concern.
Do you think he jumps ahead of Cam Taylor-Britt?
No.
Within maybe the first quarter of the season?
I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he covers as tight as you're saying he covers, Awuzie is the only one they have right now that I feel kind of does that.
Here's the deal. like I said, I don't anticipate Awuzie being here. I do think that Mike Hilton eventually is going to leave, and I think Dax Hill is going to be in the slot.
Yeah.
I think Dax eventually is going to take over for Mike Hilton, and I think Jordan Battle is going to go back and take over for Dax, and then I think DJ Turner is going to step up and take over for Awuzie. I think there's going to be a lot of shifting and rotating going on over the next year and a half. And I think this is a perfect system to be in because you don't have to produce right away. You can sit back and truly learn the intricacies of this defense because it's not a simple one. And you have the opportunity to see where these guys fit best over the next year. And that means if you have to go get another corner, he ends up better at safety or vice versa, then so be it. But there's a lot of flexibility. I don't necessarily see him overtaking Awuzie. I don't necessarily see him taking over Cam Taylor, Britt. But my God, he's hell of a depth for the first year, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I'm gonna piggyback on that. That was gonna be my comment. Was all of a sudden after free agency and the draft, our secondary has gotten deep and fast.
Yes.
Very deep and very fast. I'm super happy with this pick. I think that oh my gosh, we're not gonna have to worry if Cheeto leaves. I don't think.
You don't have to worry if two of your corners go down now.
Right.
Exactly.
Pick two corners to go down. I'll tell you what the lineup looks like.
Well, yeah, if
And it's not bad either way you slice it.
well let's say Cheeto, they say he's trending towards being ready for the beginning of the season, but let's say he's not.
Okay, Turner next.
This guy can step in right then.
And you've got Sidney Jones behind him as a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you absolutely have to because someone blows a tire, they're out for the year, as much as people don't want to hear it, Eli Apple's on speed dial.
Yep. I put a poll out there on Twitter asking if people thought that after the draft.
And that's assuming DJ Ivey doesn't make it. I mean, that guy very well may do something.
Right. Do you think Eli Apple is signed now? Me personally, I don't think he's signed now.
Mm-mm.
I don't think there's a reason anymore.
So, Santori, people talk about he's a little too lean to play outside. What do you say to that? Do you think he can play outside?
Sure.
With a short arm? But then again, he does not look like he has short arms in that picture right there. Right? I know
that stuff matters to a degree. It matters for certain positions. But my God, if the guy can play, he can play. I care about film. I don't. It's like I was looking at the Yoshevich profile, and I was like, there's some good traits. The Raz looks really good, but then you turn on film, and you're like, okay, there's a difference between 4-4, and then there's smooth, and there's guys that really break in and out of their cuts well, and there's guys that you can't necessarily see everything that you want to draft on a spreadsheet. And my family is a spreadsheet king. Trust me. Between Dad and I, there's a billion spreadsheets out there. But it comes down to, can he play? Yes, this guy can play. If he couldn't, he wouldn't have been up for debate. He's not in a position where it's like offensive tackle, where you got to worry about getting long-armed by a defensive end. He's not. Yeah, could you win a jump ball over him? Sure. But at the end of the day, if you know how to play a jump ball as a corner, no one's going to win them because you play up through the ball. You don't play down. You don't try and swat it. You wait till the guy brings the ball down. That's why you see receivers catch and lift the ball up because they know corners are trying to play up through it. Yeah. If you understand the technique at corner, it doesn't matter how long your arms are. One of the most explosive playmakers in the NFL last year was 5'7", plays for the Patriots, Marcus Jones. I guarantee at 5'7", he doesn't have the longest arms on the damn planet.
Nope.
But he had all kinds of breakups. He had all kinds of interceptions. And he had kick returns all over the place with his little T-Rex arms. If Dan Ugla can hit home runs off a slider, then this guy can play corner.
Santori, you don't need to tell us that, man. He almost beat the Bengals single-handedly, literally.
Yeah, that's true.
Dan Ugla, I totally forgot about. What team did he play for?
He was
Atlanta.
a Brave.
I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, freaking stubby.
Don't throw him an inside fastball.
Jeez, that's like Ricky Weeks, man. You toss him an inside fastball, and he come back.
Oh yeah.
And don't say another word, Greg. We're off of that.
Okay.
Yes. Don't do it. Don't you do it.
I got to go down. I got to go down.
I did almost send you a van today. I was real close. I found one that was pretty clean. And if I got to buy it, I'm naming it Bill Hall.
All right.
We're 30 minutes in, and we're only on the second pick. I feel like I'm watching the draft again.
Good.
All right. The good thing about the first two picks, and then I'm moving on. Good value.
Yep.
Very good value. Consensus ranks had these guys much higher than where they went, so that's a good thing. Moving on to our third pick, which this one was a little bit of a surprise for me. We've got Jordan Battle, the safety out of Alabama. It was a surprise to me because I didn't look at any safeties. I didn't think they were going to take a safety because they kind of addressed it in free agency. I thought, hey, we got 4 guys. Hey, let's roll. Nope. And they got a good one.
Yes, they did.
Bengal Dad, go.
He looks like Von Bell to me.
I like it.
I can see him filling that void at some point.
Yep.
Every defense needs a prick, and I think he's the one. Seriously, when we would look at the way we would look at trying to fill out the depth chart, we would look for this sounds terrible. We would look for some kids that were maybe not the brightest to play zero technique because you got to be a little bit crazy to want to get mashed between 3 offensive linemen every play. So we would be like, all right, who's the dumb one willing to get hit all the time? Well, that's him, coach. Okay. Linebacker. Okay, I need someone that maybe isn't the toughest but's very smart and is going to be in the right spot. Okay, that's him, coach. Okay, who's my asshole? That's my strong safety because he's going to come downhill and lay the wood. And they go, that one. I say, okay. And a lot of times it was the kid that had no business playing linebacker because all he wanted to do was come up and bust the running back in the chops,
Right.
and completely void his position on a hook to curl. Von Bell. You saw what he did with Juju. That's this guy. This guy's going to be your enforcer, your asshole, the dick, whatever you want to call it. He's the guy. Every defense needs one. He's going to fit right in.
Yeah.
I'm going to read something real quick that Steve Minch said from ESPN. Plays with good balance and body control, and as a run defender, he's an effective wrap-up tackler who takes sound angles and flies to the football while remaining under control. That is exactly what I want out of my safety.
Well, it's what shows up on film. And like Greg was saying with all the 40 times and the RAS scores, that stuff's great, but there's a difference between 40 times and game speed. I don't know how many times on film I saw you gotta watch American Idol tonight, Dad. I don't know if you saw that comment.
Yeah, here you go.
American Idol.
We're down to the top 10, boys.
Yeah.
But what kept coming up on film is that he didn't necessarily take the best angles on some of the sweeps or outside zones. And I was like, oh, the running back's going to get the angle here. Not one time did the guy get the angle. And oftentimes he would beat the guy to the spot. So when you look at his 40 time, I think it was in the 4.5s or something. It was nothing impressive. 4.5 still excellent speed. Everybody forgets that.
Yeah.
We're just so enamored with 4.2 and 4.3 that 4.5 seems pedestrian. AJ Green ran a 4.5. This man is built like that and runs a 4.5. I mean, it's AJ Green tracking you down from the other side of the field. He's going to get there. He's smooth.
Hey, James, what was the first sentence or two you read?
The first sentence I read was he plays with good
I
balance.
contradicted it. I know.
Yeah.
Good balance and body control.
Okay.
Or were you looking for
Another
the
guy
second
he could wind up emulating or people might compare him to down the line would be David Fulcher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's that kind of guy.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to get at with the 40 time, his game speed is so much better than the hand time 40 clock or the whatever you use to time the kid. his game speed's fantastic. I mean, he knows where he's supposed to be. The pursuit's great. He's a fantastic tackler in the open field. And if he gets to come straight downfield on, a slant route, he's the guy you're going to have to worry about every once in a while blowing up some poor receiver on a slant and the flag flies out. He's not going to do it a lot. He doesn't mean to do it, but he's aggressive.
I'd like to point out one thing. One thing the Bengals value is team captains. It's one thing to be a team captain in college. It's a whole different story. You can all agree to be a team captain in a place like Alabama, especially him starting there since sophomore year. I mean, Nick Saban has nothing but good things to say about him. I mean, like Santor was saying, he's there at the right place, right time. They said very intelligent guy, smart football instincts. And you know who's a big fan of him that I found out? I forget where I heard it from, but Darren Simmons says when he talked to me, he says, "I want this guy on my team." Man. That's exactly what he said. He could be a great contributor for special teams as a rookie, but Darren Simmons says, "I want this guy on my team." I mean, the leadership he shows in everything is exactly what sold me on him.
This is probably way off topic, but Darren Simmons has got to be one of the longest tenured coaches for his team in the NFL at this point.
Yep.
He's been in Cincinnati forever.
Right.
63, I think, was the year. No,
Yep.
the Gold Rush.
All right. Moving on.
All right. Sorry. One thing, he's going to have to change his number because I don't think that number's getting given up.
Yeah.
So, the next guy that we've got is
Chuck Sizzle. Chuck Sizzle
Jones, wide receiver out of Purdue.
Chuck Sizzle, baby.
Oh,
Sizzle my nizzle. I don't know what just happened.
None of us do, Greg.
All right.
Oh, good.
I'll start with the only negative I can find with this kid's game. It was brought to my attention because I didn't do any research on receivers that he is almost 25. It's problematic. I'm trying to live with that this year because of how many kids got that COVID year extension.
Yeah.
So if he's 24 and a half, it would be like normally having a 23 and a half year old. Still not ideal, but the route running skills are the things that you worry about with receivers. He has fantastic route running skills. He doesn't drop shit. He's got enough speed to run a deep ball. He probably still wouldn't be my deep ball guy. I think he profiles more as a Hunter Renfrow. But I'm very happy with it.
He also produced against some top corners in the draft.
We played in Big Ten.
Yeah.
Hey, Santori, Justin Lack said, "Do we get us an Edelman?" That's kind of funny you said that. He said that, right?
I say it a little bit facetiously. Obviously, everybody's going to think Hunter Renfrow and Edelman for one character trait because he's a white boy. I'm not afraid to say that. Everybody always thinks it. When you see a white wide receiver, it's one of the first names that comes to your mind. I don't think he's as quick or shifty as Edelman. And keep in mind, Edelman was incredibly intelligent because he played quarterback in college.
Mm-hmm.
And he used steroids. So, I mean, there's that added boost. I know most of them take PEDs. I'm still going to rip on the ones that get caught. So I try to stay away from Edelman comparisons, even though this one's kind of it's the low-hanging fruit to take. He's so much more comparable to Hunter Renfrow, which is the same type of receiver. I don't think he's going to be a 1,200-yard receiver like Edelman was. But right now he's probably the number 4 option at receiver. And with the 2 running backs you now have and the tight end, he might be the number 7 or 8 option on this offense. I'm not expecting a ton of production, but the times that he can get in, I do expect him to perform well.
Yeah, I mean, when I looked at I knew nothing about this kid and all that, but you look him up, I mean, look where this kid started out. He wasn't a high recruit coming out of college, started out at Buffalo, then transferred on to Iowa, then went to Purdue his senior year. I mean, this kid's just a hard worker, worked his way up. I mean, he went from like a 2-star recruit, not getting offers. Now he's a 4th-round pick. in the NFL draft. I mean, this is just incredible right here and all that. So, this kid's a hard worker.
Yep.
Yeah, if he'd have been 2 years younger or didn't transfer all the time and lose all of his college credits in the process, most likely, he probably would have been a second or third round pick.
Probably so.
And I think that if I remember right, it was either the first or the second in all of the NCAA in terms of drop percentage. He was that good. I think he had
what did you say? 3 drops and 150 targets.
156 targets, I think.
Yes, there's somewhere around there. Yes.
Yeah, he ended up with 100 and I think it was 110 catches last year. He's a freak when it comes to holding on to the ball. I mean, you think of Tyler Boyd.
Yes.
Tyler Boyd is that receiver for us. Normally, I know it's happened, but he normally doesn't drop the ball.
Except the Super Bowl. But
Yeah.
I said normally.
Justin Lack has said, where'd Julian go? He was a 7th round pick, wasn't Adelman?
He was a 7th round pick, yes.
He went to Can't Read, Can't Write, Kent State.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got a couple things for
You like that one, Bengal Dad?
for Mr. Jones here. I've got a couple things.
All right.
I don't know who. I think Greg, in the middle of his meltdown on Friday night, was talking to Pork Chop.
Yeah.
I believe. And I think Pork Chop said to him, if the Steelers get Charlie Jones, I'm going to put a bullet in my head. I think he said, and I didn't know who this guy was.
No, Darnell
When I
Washington.
heard that we drafted Charlie Jones, I thought, well, he must be pretty good. And thank God Pork Chop's alive. So those are the two things that crossed my mind when we got the guy.
In no particular order.
And lastly, I do believe that, if this guy is as I'm hearing he is, it could be the future replacement for Boyd.
Yes.
It sounds like it could be.
I mean, the writing on the wall is for Boyd. This draft is writing on the wall for Boyd, Hendrickson, and Cheeto, in my opinion. I mean, that's just no. And Crispin, possibly.
Oh,
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right. Yeah. All right. No, I know. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. All right, want to move on?
Sure.
All right. Oh, actually, I got to stop the one. So we've got Chase Brown, running back out of Illinois. When we were talking about favorite picks of the draft,
Pork Chop's still alive.
He's
yes,
still alive.
God.
Bengal Dad and Greg had somebody that we haven't really talked about yet. This was my pick. This was before you got on Santori, or Dead Inside. I'm sorry. This is my favorite pick. I just love him as a player, and and Santori, you've got more actual knowledge on him.
How can you not pick a Canadian running back?
Yeah, Canada.
Who knew Canadians had guns? I didn't think they did.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's a whole lot of moose meat.
Hey.
So this is one of the few guys that when I started watching running backs, probably back in February, because that was when I was convinced Mixon was going to get cut, which, by the way, it looks like he's somehow saved his career. That's a story for another day. When I was looking at Chase, it was, I think, February 23rd was the timestamp on a text message. I sent it out to Dad, and I was like, this is my guy. And he was like, why? I said, he's just my guy. And I was talking to Greg, and Greg says, what do you look for in running backs? I look for square shoulders. I look for guys that once they get to the line, they hit the hole, slow to, fast through. Look for guys that know when to accelerate, when to decelerate. I look for guys that have decent hands, know how to block. He's not the biggest guy on the planet. He's about 5'9", 5'10", and 210 pounds. Sounds like Giovanni Bernard. Decent out of the backfield, not great. Sounds like Gio out of college. Gio ended up being great out of the backfield. Good pass blocker. Sounds like Gio. Decent in between the tackles, decent outside. Sounds like Gio. Knows when to accelerate. Makes the first guy miss. Sounds like Gio. He's a Canadian carbon copy of Giovanni Bernard. You got a good one. He's just one of those guys that, again, it doesn't necessarily explode off the tape or pop off the film. He just does a lot of everything right. The one concern I have is that he had like 30 touches a game in college over the last 2 years.
That's fine. That's it for me.
That's a lot. But he's going to be a rotational back. Mixon's going to be the workhorse. You're going to save his knees over the next year or so. He's going to be fresh. I'm excited. You basically found a little bit more of an athletic version of P. Ryan.
Yep.
Is what you got, which was Gio. That's what the Bengals have always valued in a rotational back. He's the guy. And I think that everybody should be pretty happy. You're going to see him in a Bengal jersey for probably the next 4 to 6 years. And hopefully he helps with a couple rings in that span.
And all of a sudden, you like the running back room again. Like,
I will like the running back room if Mixon takes a pay cut.
Yep, I think he will.
yeah,
I don't necessarily have an issue with Mixon. I don't necessarily have an issue with his production. I have an issue with productions per dollar.
Yep.
He makes a lot of dollars for an average amount of production.
I guess the big thing for me would be if we're going to go and sign another couple of free agents, and yeah, we need them to take the pay cut. If we're not going to sign anybody, does it matter? I don't know. Like
since you're not necessarily close on a T. Higgins extension anymore, you don't really need the money right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So load up on anybody else.
Right. While we're on the running back topic, is there somebody out there that you still would like to add to this room?
No, I'm good.
I kind of feel the same way.
Zeke.
Oh, Zeke Natty.
Bengal Dad, Canadian running back. What are your thoughts?
I never knew who the guy was. I still don't know who he is. I did see the NFL film special. That was that was pretty good insight to him and his brother and their upbringing. They certainly haven't had anything given to him, so he probably has a Giovanni Bernard type of heart. And to me, that's the one thing that's not immeasurable. Unlike all this other stuff is in the NFL. I like guys that are going to battle through, that are going to persevere, and I think he's going to be one of those guys.
I could see him having 2 or 3 touchdowns that are just 50, 60-yard touchdowns this year.
That's the other thing. He has that home run pop.
Yep.
We haven't had that.
We haven't had
it a couple of shows ago. The last time we had a running back do that was 2014 with Gio.
Yep.
You're going back almost 10 years. The last time you had a 50-plus yard touchdown before that, I think Benson had one, and we're going back to 2009. It's happened twice in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
They need some explosiveness from that.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, so moving on.
Hey, no, I didn't get my piece about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chase.
Oh, Greg.
No, it's okay. I'm just kidding. We can go on.
No.
Greg,
It's Chase Brown. Like I said, I know his name was thrown out and all that and stuff. And like I said, I'm just happy we got another guy in the room. And like Santori, you said, the only thing I just have against him is how much he played the last 2 years. But considering the fact he's supposed to be like a third-round pick, I don't know what you had him graded as. I think this is a great steal. Not as good as the next one on my list, but I'm happy with him.
Yeah,
I had him as a 4th-round pick.
Good enough for me then.
A lot in the 4th.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick around for this next guy, and then I'm cutting out.
Oh,
American Idol.
do you like this next guy a whole lot?
I like him more.
Dad?
I like him more.
Well,
I think
next
No, Greg.
next on Rally Round the Natty, Bengal Dad and Greg Luther fight over Andre Yosivas.
He's another number 9, and he's already got tiger stripes.
There you go. He's perfect.
Fun fact: the Bengals drafted 5 guys this year that either wore orange or played for the Tigers.
Yep.
How about that?
Tiger thing.
Now, I have watched I've watched a little bit of film on this guy just since they drafted him to know who he was. This guy looks like he's got some kind of hidden gear in him. He just looks to me like a guy that's going to be a late round pick, like TJ Hushmanzada.
Yep.
And he's going to make a serious impact on this team. I just got a feeling about this guy.
Craig, I know you're dying to talk.
Bengal Dad, as much as you and I have gotten into so many disagreements, as much as I criticized you, I don't know what's going on right now, but man, you took the words right out of my mouth and all that. Like, I mean, gosh dang it, the value-wise, this is just like, this is like a gold mine and all that right here. I mean, gosh dang it, man. He just needs time to develop, and what better place to develop in here in Cincinnati where he's not going to have to be thrown into anything. I mean, he's got the smarts. And by the way, Santori, shout out to Ashley. Johnny Tsunami would be a cool nickname for him, too. That was one of my favorite Disney original channel movies. So I am liking this already right now. I'm going to start calling her that because it's a lot easier to remember. But I'm just kidding.
Tsunami.
I am such a big fan of this pick. I mean, Princeton got the smarts. Like you said, Santori, if he didn't play in the Ivy League, he probably could have been a 4th round pick. I am just so excited the potential this kid has.
Yeah, watching some of the stuff he did at Princeton. I know it's not the best competition, but freaks stick out. And if he hadn't dominated, then it'd be an issue, and then he wouldn't be drafted.
Here's my thing.
Randy Moss looked good at Marshall too.
Listen,
Right?
don't talk shit about Marshall.
And for the record, James, you can vouch, I wanted him even before we drafted him.
Well, you've wanted him since he was 18. We know. Okay.
There we go.
Hey, listen, he's a handsome man.
No. Okay, now we're pushing.
All I'm going to say is that the Bengals this year drafted a few dudes that we need to keep our wives away from. Goodness gracious.
Johnny Tsunami.
Here's the very, very positive thing about this. When you watch his film, he looks like a relatively experienced route runner. He's very smooth in and out of his breaks, like he's been doing it a while, which sounds dumb considering he is a college wide receiver. But he only played football half the time in college. He didn't play for 2 years in the middle. He took off for COVID. I guess he was high risk and didn't play. So he only played like a year and a half of college ball, 1. 2, he was a full-time sprinter. Almost went professional in track, which is where that speed and explosiveness comes out. He has not dedicated even 50% of his college career to being a football player. And he looks as good as he does. What's he going to have with an NFL film room and an NFL training staff? And Chad is going to be mentoring him, and TJ is going to be mentoring him, and the route running and being around a wide receiver room that already has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and a quarterback like Joe Burrow. If this guy dedicates full time to being a wide receiver, he's going to jump off the fucking page.
Yes.
Some guys are just athletes.
What wasn't that resume that you just read like a year and a half to 2 years of college similar to Jamar Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! I said, wow, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep,
I'm loving this, man.
So apparently Ivy League didn't play football. So the whole league didn't play.
Well, no, Santori, Dale was like telling Greg, he was 6th rounder for a reason. I'm not trying to come at Dale or anything, but it's like, come on, guys, let's get excited for this guy. Yeah,
he's a 6th rounder because he only played a year and a half and went to Princeton.
Hey.
If he'd have played 4 years at Iowa, I always pick Iowa because
you quit saying Iowa because they can't throw the ball.
Well, I pick Iowa. 1, they can't throw the ball. 2, they're a D1 school. No one expects Iowa to really blow you away.
We're going to get to see what Johnny Tsunami does with Joe Burrow.
Johnny Tsunami. I'm liking this right now. I can't believe you remember that movie, Santori, but that's awesome.
That is all my wife.
He might be so good that Burrow gives him his number.
Yes, exactly.
So we got Joe Shiesty throwing to Johnny Tsunami.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the preseason. I'm just so excited to watch him in the preseason.
Oh my god! Oh, it's going to be great. I'm excited too.
Oh man,
Bengal Dad, are you hopping out or?
I'm hopping out.
All right. You want to talk about the punter?
No. You guys can love all over his mustache.
All right.
See you,
we're about to.
Santori's going to be all over this guy here.
Who dey?
Santori changed his Bengals fan. Santori changed his Twitter name and his Twitter page just because of this next guy on the list.
I have an appreciation for facial hair. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next guy. Brad Robbins, punter.
He'd probably be better if he had 2 full legs.
91. Do you think he'll keep that number?
No.
Oh.
Nope.
I don't think Trey's giving that up. 00 is available.
Right. Could it be 0?
He could be 00.
Yeah, let's do that. Sorry, Ohio State fan. It's Ohio State versus Michigan in the punting thing. Pick your side.
Dr. Eggman. I love it.
Dr. Robotnik? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So here's a couple tidbits on him real quick.
Right.
So he's got really, really good hang time, which is what we were lacking. He also held for arguably the best kicker in college football.
I'm calling timeout. We got a big ugly reference from Crypt Keeper. I actually know where Big Ugly is. Big Ugly is a holler down in West Virginia. One of my best friends, Dane, is from Big Ugly.
Oh my God.
I've talked about her before. My friend Boo is from Big Ugly. I gotta tell some more Boo stories while I'm on here. But shout out to Big Ugly, West Virginia. Y'all don't get enough love. Down near Chapmanville, if y'all don't know where that's at.
Here's another one. Free
Mustache Race.
Oh my God.
Little Super Troopers reference. I like it. But all right, what I was saying was,
what was that episode of The Office where they tried to grow mustaches for charity or something? You don't remember? Okay, never mind.
Yep. So I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen all of The Office. I need to actually sit down and watch all of it. I've watched a bunch and love it, but Big Ugly. High school in West Virginia.
Yes, sir.
So he's got great hang time, and he is also held for arguably the best kicker in college football. So when you put those two things together, we've got a really, really good kicker, and we had a punter that didn't have great hang time.
He can't hang.
It seems like a win. Do what?
He can't
Then
hang.
you citing Michigan over Ohio State.
I like it. Can't hang. It's funny. You get it, Greg?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm just teasing.
No, but in all seriousness, you know what's even more interesting? He's from Columbus, out of all places.
Oh, that's right.
I think my favorite part of the draft video is he was convinced that was a prank call.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, hey, Zach Taylor, what do you want?"
Right,
Like,
Zach Taylor.
We're like, "We're drafting you," and he's like, "Oh, holy shit!"
He's like, "We got to edit that out." Oh.
Yeah, that was going viral. Did you just hit yourself with the bat?
Yeah, I put the bat. Oh, I hit myself in the head with the bat. I'm fine.
Oh, we should. That's going to happen a lot. We should clip that every time and put a compilation together.
Don't worry, James. I didn't hit anything I don't use.
Yeah, but 0 touchbacks, apparently. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And I watched the 3 he had the year before that. They all hit it like the 2, and his guys couldn't bat them back in.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
They all had a chance, too. None of them were, like, landing in the end zone. They were all hitting it like the 2 and bouncing high, and they just couldn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Apparently, Drew Chrisman said that he's getting bigger and stronger. True Ohio State versus Michigan. That's what we've got.
We'll have a 2-punter system. So what's going to happen is we're going to have one less gunner, and we're going to have 2 punters back there, and they have no idea which one we're going to snap it to.
Well, Santori, Alabama had 2 kickers, one for short range and one for long range at one point, right?
Santori's talking about at the same time on the field.
Oh, I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah, you can. You just have no idea what's going to happen. They're technically eligible.
Oh, okay, maybe you can.
That is interesting, Greg, but I don't think that they want to keep 2 punters on the active roster.
No.
Tupac.
James, I'm kidding.
Ooh.
Pour one out for the ones who passed.
Oh, boy.
Pac. I'm excited.
I know.
Now, we talked about this a lot. I remember there was one mock where I mocked a punter because I had more than 7 picks, and Santori called me out. I was like, wait, With only 7, I didn't want it. But now we've got 8. I like it. I like the pick. I think he's going to come in, and if nothing else,
Can I take my other victory lap?
real quick, if nothing else, it's going to make Drew Chrisman compete even harder, and maybe that'll make him better. Go ahead.
Yeah.
When we traded back in the 3rd round, everyone's like, "What are we doing?" I said, "Getting your punter."
Yep.
Pretty much.
Draft ain't hard, folks.
Say
Draft ain't hard, folks.
It was going to be one of 2 things. It was going to be either the punter or the backup quarterback.
Yeah, pretty
That was
much.
what it was going to be.
And the
I
quarterbacks
am
are
one
going
of
by the
4 people on the planet that like Jake Browning. Okay?
Yep.
If you can throw 20 touchdowns to John Ross, you've done something right.
Yeah, that's true.
3 picks. And
Yes,
we
sir.
still got our guy by trading back the 3 or 4 spots that we went back. We still got Jordan Battle. So it worked out.
Apparently, they wanted Battle in the 2nd round and
Yeah.
skipped, and then he was there again and decided to skip again, and he was still there.
Exactly.
Woo!
Yep.
That's what dreams are made of.
The only thing that was weird was we traded with the Chiefs, but at that point, it doesn't matter. You're taking one of their picks.
Yeah, oh, well.
Yep. So, let me see. So our last guy that we're going to talk about, right?
I know nothing about this guy.
We've got DJ Ivy, the cornerback out of the U,
The U.
Miami. So
My sleeper favorite college program.
what, Miami?
Oh, yeah.
Well, from the 80s, but not in 90s, too, early 2000s, but not now, right?
Here's the deal. I grew up spending a lot of my time in the summers in Florida. I liked the U from a very, very young age. Maybe it was just the color combination.
Yeah.
But then, Dad kind of always talked about how they were like the enforcer team. Like you did not fuck with the U.
No,
And I was like, that's what I want.
no, you
and-
do not.
And then I grew up watching Ray Lewis, and Dad's like, that's the U. And I went, oh shit. And I'm like, who's this? That's Ed Reed. That's the U. Oh my God. And I'm seeing all these just big name boom come out of the U. And I'm like, this is my program. That's what I want.
Wait a minute.
And as
Did
soon
you-
as I started liking them, they hit the skids.
Wait a minute. Did you root for the U against Ohio State when Ohio State beat them?
Greg, I hate Ohio State.
Oh, well, there you go then. Even though that was a BS call on the U, but yeah, no, they should have won that game.
Let me read what ESPN had about him on the analysis.
Fast.
He started 33 games at Miami, picked off 6 passes over his career, lean with good top end speed. He's got the length to get his hands on receivers and reroute them. So, maybe he makes a team, maybe he doesn't, but
We'll see.
another depth piece.
Look at J.C. Jackson, 7th round pick.
Oh, here we've got a Browns fan in here. Mick the dog. What's up, man? He said, "Go Browns." So y'all
Yes.
happy? Actually, I think that we're pretty happy with the draft, honestly.
No. So Mick, are you guys happy with DeJuan Jones? Is what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, put it in the comments. What do you think of your draft, Mick? I know you got a few guys that we were targeting a little bit. Hey, I come in peace.
No, you're cool. Thank you for joining,
You
bud.
better
all
check
good.
yourself, Mick.
Yeah,
It's all good, man.
we're not going to search you.
Nice to have fans. Oh, I mean viewers. Wait. Let's see. We did okay for not having a pick till the 3rd round.
That
right?
is very true.
That is true. Oh, here, Foxy's got something here. Heard some talk earlier on a space that one of the guys knew some of the players at Miami, that he's a great practice player, and if in the right system could be really good.
Well,
So-
that's all of them.
Got a little insight there. Ohio State tried to stop the Blue Jackets from coming to Columbus. Ohio State failed. The Blue Jackets are in Columbus. There you go. Kevin in there.
There's your hockey knowledge of the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we got, I don't think there's anything else to talk about with DJ Ivy. I mean, he was a 7th round to undrafted free agent guy. There's not a whole lot to talk about.
I think there is something to talk about here,
Okay, go for
Jimmy.
it. I'm ready.
It's not about him.
What?
It's about what the draft pick of him, his draft pick, however.
He's
we
got
wanna
long
word it.
arms.
No, Well, this is my guess. This is going to sound really dumb until we get into it. I think this spells the end for Stanley Morgan and wide receivers being on special teams.
You were talking.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
The Bengals verbally made a point several times that they were not happy with how the season ended and the lack of depth at wide receiver. Part of having bad depth at wide receiver is forcing guys onto the roster that are special teams players who can play wide receiver and not having wide receivers that can play special teams. There's a difference. Stanley Morgan is a special teams guy who moonlights as a wide receiver, if you will. If you're going to have wide receivers do that, you need to have wide receivers that moonlight as special teams players, not the other way around. They drafted a lot of wide receivers and a lot of DBs, and the wide receivers don't necessarily play special teams from their background. They could, but they weren't drafted because they're good special teams players. Stanley Morgan was picked as a UDFA because he was a good special teams player. Almost all of the guys that were drafted on defense are probably anticipated to be playing on special teams almost exclusively right away because we know they're not starting.
Right.
And if you're not starting, you better play somewhere else. But between the adamancy that is the Bengals coaching staff with wanting wide receiver depth and the amount of guys that they took on defense moving forward, it wouldn't surprise me if guys like, Stanley Morgan get the axe. Personally, I prefer defensive players to be on special teams. I don't know. Something about defensive players tackling people seems better than a wide receiver.
Can't imagine why.
And I've done it where I've coached special teams before, and this is the weird part. I remember when I was in charge of the punt unit, and I put 4 guys up front in the middle that were backup offensive linemen because I wanted them to block for the punt team. Well, they were great blockers, but none of them could tackle worth a damn. And the first game I ever coached special teams, we had 2 punt returns returned for touchdowns because I had a bunch of offensive guys out there that couldn't fucking tackle.
Right.
Maybe I'm just scarred from that experience. But my guys never gave up a touchdown again, and I'll be damned if there was an offensive player out there again who didn't tackle during the week. We made it to where the defensive guys got in the way long enough, and then it was go hunt. And I would prefer it to be DJ Turner and Tyson Anderson hunting than I would Stanley Morgan.
No, I agree with you, Santori.
Those things can be taught.
Santori, I 100% agree with you. Nothing against Stanley Morgan. He was also a great blocker. He's a good hard worker. But like
there's nothing against Stanley Morgan, but if I'm going to optimize the wide receiver depth at this roster, I'm not going to have one there solely because he's a gunner on punt team.
Well, plus also you've had a decent talent wide receiver too. You want to use all that as much as you can. Like I totally agree. Get what you're saying.
Right now, there are roughly 6 wide receivers who are better actual receivers than Stanley Morgan on this roster. Chase, Higgins, Boyd, the 2 kids we drafted are already better.
Yes.
Trent Taylor and Trenton Irwin. 7.
There you go.
Stanley Morgan is the number 8 receiver. He better be the best damn special teams player I've ever seen in my life to kick off one of those other talents.
Yep.
There's your segue from DJ Ivy.
Sorry,
this is the man that got Stanley Morgan inadvertently cut.
Sorry, somebody turned the microwave on, so I've got this muted.
Uh-oh. What was in the microwave? Oh, he's on mute.
Right, and that's kind of what we're talking about. I mean, you saw Mike Thomas wasn't even good at special teams, and then he started dropping passes. They got rid of him in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Hey,
the only thing keeping Stanley Morgan on the roster right now is because he's a halfway decent gunner. It's not because he's a good receiver.
Justin Lang, hey, Santor, I want to go back. My buddy Justin asked a question. Will we resign DJ Reader? This was from a while ago, since we did not draft a nose tackle, do you think?
My guess would be no.
Oh, wow.
The value on guys like DJ Reader has exploded over the last 2 years. And I'm talking like DJ Reader was pretty damn expensive when we signed him at like 14 a year.
Yeah.
And now guys like DJ Reader are getting like 18 to 20 a year.
Jesus.
I'm not going to pay that.
Even at 30 years old.
That's what I was going to ask.
No. If he was 23 and coming off a rookie contract, or 24 coming off of a rookie contract, and the only thing that might save DJ Reader to keep him is he's just not a great pass rusher, just because that's just not his job.
Right.
But I think the league is starting to revert back to like 2005 style offenses. Maybe not necessarily the way they look with the formations, but in terms of the approach of the offense, you're starting to see number one backs with a true third down back again. And you're going to start seeing some bigger offensive lines like the Bengals have been going after.
Yep.
People know that defenses are getting smaller, so they're going to start beefing up and just bullying them if they have to.
Getting that man meat.
Yeah, buddy.
So guys like DJ Reader, who can control a double team, are going to become invaluable over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
He's making 14 now. He's one of the best at his positions. I can't see him getting a pay cut. So that's he's going to be one of those guys that, him and BJ Hill are going to go. And I wish Bengal Dad was on here last night. And I said, here's your way too early mock draft for 2024. It's defensive interior.
Yep.
Again, look 2 to 3 years from now. Hendrickson, Hill, and Reader are all going to be off the books in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yes, they are.
If you're truly going to pay the offensive line, and God knows what's really going on with Higgins, but they're going to pay Burrow. They're going to continue to pay running back because they value doing that. And they're going to pay Chase. And if they actually hit it right with Orlando Brown, he's going to be here for the next 10 years. They will continue paying him.
Yeah.
Yes,
Interior defensive line is not going to be a top priority to be paid. It's going to be one that you can either pay or replace.
Right.
They're on the replace list right now.
Does he have one more year on his contract? Is that right?
And Hill's got, I think, 2 more. I mean, you're 2 years away from having no one on the interior because Tupo's fun. He's not going to be here in 2 years. Tufalele's not going to be here 2 years. Everybody that plays from 3 technique down to 0 technique in the next 2 to 3 years is going to look completely different. You really need to hope that guys like Zach Carter pan out.
Yeah,
because he's the next guy up.
Well, he's the biggest win. He was one of the biggest winners of the draft too, because we didn't draft a 3-2. Yeah, DJ Reader's due to make $11 million this year. Then he's a free agent after this year.
Yeah, he's going to make like $15 million next year.
So here's my question. On the interior line, when does that position typically tend to decline?
Like what age?
Yeah.
Oh, 30s. They last forever.
Okay. That's my question, because at 30,
if they're solid, they last forever. It's not a question of is DJ Reader going to decline. It's a question of can I still afford him?
Oh God.
Because he isn't declining.
Yep.
Off-topic question from Mick the Dog. What do you make of the Ratbirds looking like they're switching to pass-first style with Monken?
So when they first got Monken, I thought that spelled the end for Lamar. Between the contract talks and the fact that, Monken is an air raid style. I mean, this is the guy that got Jameis Winston to throw for 5,000 yards. Yeah. People forget that happened. Jameis Winston threw for almost the most yards in the history of the NFL in 1 year. Jameis.
He also
threw 30 interceptions.
Yeah, I was going to say.
If he would have cut back on the interceptions, he may have thrown for 6,000 yards.
Yeah,
that's how much they throw it and how deep they throw it. With that being said, they do not have the guys to run down the field in case
No.
those kind of passes right now.
They did draft Zay Flowers, right?
Zay Flowers is an underneath gadget receiver.
Right, I know.
No. Santori. Someone told me, isn't he like another, what you would call the guy they just traded a year ago to the Cardinals, Hollywood Brown? Isn't he another Hollywood Brown?
He's somewhere between Hollywood Brown and AB.
Yeah.
He's a little shifty guy.
And that's all I was going at was they got Zay Flowers, they signed OBJ, which who knows how his leg is. I know that he's shown some videos of him running, but how's he really going to be? Is he going to actually be able to sustain a full year of
I mean, here's the deal. Zay Flowers is a good pickup. I had him as a second round pick if he'd have come out last year.
100%.
OBJ is not going to be anything close to what he was in his prime. He still can be a threat. He looked good with the Rams before he blew out his knee, and that was 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. And he hasn't played in 2 years, and he's on the wrong side of 30. OBJ's dad has the equipment ready to go. I mean, Mark Andrews isn't going to be a guy pushing the ball 30 yards downfield.
Yeah.
Monken's going to have his work cut out for him because the worst part of Lamar Jackson's game, the worst part, and this goes all the way back to high school, is intermediate passing. Those between 9 to like 15 yards. Down the field, he's really not bad. He's actually got a pretty damn good deep ball. Short passing, nobody sucks at short passing. But the intermediate stuff, that's where these guys are going to help out. It's going to be if Lamar can really keen in on it.
Right.
I think Monken is really going to throw a lot. I think it's going to extend Lamar's career a little bit. But if they decide to go throw first with Lamar, they're screwing up.
Yep.
You have to, as a coach, play to your players' strengths. Lamar is not a throw-first quarterback. He is not a bad throwing quarterback. Everybody acts like he's a piece of shit. He's not. He won MVP. You can't win MVP and not know how to throw a football at quarterback.
It's partially running too.
But there is a lot of running. The issue is I think they're going to try to start working on that extension of Lamar's career right now.
Yeah.
Because he has been getting hurt. There's no argument about that. He is a decent thrower, but he's not an excellent thrower. No one's going to argue that he's an excellent thrower. He's decent. He's not bad. He's decent. The issue is the first thing to go on the body for any single player in the NFL at any position is the lower body. You lose a step. You always hear, oh, they've lost a step. If Lamar starts losing a step and doesn't really refine the passing game, he will die out really fucking fast.
Yep.
I think, he's not a horrible passer. He's just inconsistent. If they could find a coordinator that can get him to be consistent on throws 9 to 15 yards downfield, I think they're going to be a damn hard team to beat. I think they're already incredibly difficult to beat.
Yeah.
The Bengals just see them all the time, so they're used to it.
Yeah.
I think Baltimore's probably going to make a serious run for the playoffs. I think they could win this division if a couple things fall their way.
Probably.
That's not a knock on the Bengals. That's just Baltimore's sneaky good.
Oh, yeah.
Harbaugh's a good coach. I mean, they're not a bad organization. They just get decimated with injuries because of the style of football they play. It's kind of their own fault.
In the wide receiver room last year, too, they were like, I think Rashad Bateman got hurt, Devin Duvernay, they aren't dogs, like they need more dogs in their wide receiver room, and they just don't have them. Zay Flowers,
the kind of guy that Baltimore needs, there's a prototype receiver that would absolutely murder it over there, and I don't understand why they haven't done it yet, would be a guy in the mold of and like I say, these guys don't grow on trees. You'd have to make an incredible trade package to get one.
Yeah.
But if they were smart, they wouldn't have signed Odell. They'd have gone after somebody like A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf.
Yep.
They need big-bodied receivers for that offense. They'll block. They will actually be kind of a pain in the ass to worry about downfield. And then if you pair them with someone small and speedy, if you put Lamar Jackson in Seattle, that would be a pain in the ass to deal with. Or if you just took Lockett and Metcalf and put them in Baltimore.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to play them. That would just be a nightmare.
Yep.
They need to have a big-bodied receiver that they can go to. They just don't. They haven't had that since Anquan Bolden.
So T. Higgins would fit perfectly with them.
You shut your dirty
T.
mouth.
Higgins isn't thick enough for that.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
T. Higgins is closer, but I'm talking guys. Anquan Bolden,
Yeah,
DK
Anquan-
Metcalf,
oh my God.
Mhm.
Andre Johnson. The throwbacks that would just run you the fuck over. Yeah, they need a 50-50 guy that is, strong. I mean, they need one of those guys that's like, yeah, like the guy that would have worked perfectly that I loved and they freaking cut and gave up on way too early was Darren Waller. They had that guy, and they freaking shipped him off to the Raiders.
I did not know that. He started out with the Ravens. Wow.
Yeah, they drafted him too.
Oh,
they
my
drafted all the
God.
tight ends.
In fairness, he had issues going on, and with I believe it was alcohol, and he had some issues going on while with the Ravens. Not really smart to keep him around.
But point being, if they would get that kind of a receiver for Lamar, it would be a vastly different team. Instead, they keep going after these like Duvernays. It's like, okay, that's a number 4 in Cincinnati. What are we doing?
Oh yeah,
it's a number 4 in Cincinnati. It's a number 4 in Pittsburgh. The guy that would have done well for them would have been like Juju.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They need a big-bodied guy.
No, I didn't think about that. Wow.
It just fits that offense, and they don't do it. I don't.
Not true, Ron.
No.
Not true.
The best report I saw on that was AB agrees to terms with the Ravens. The Ravens have not agreed to terms with AB.
Great. Okay, so we got off topic a little bit. There's not a whole lot to talk about with the undrafted free agent guys, but there's one interesting name to me, and then there's a few position groups that'll kind of interest.
Hip and Hammer.
Hip and Hammer is the most interesting name just because of the name.
That's the most interesting name.
Yeah. Jackson Kirkland is the guy for me. He could be a really good depth piece. Jackson spelled Jaxson.
That's some serious white people shit.
Yep. And so he's the
straight
guard
out of Goshen.
Yeah, he's the guard out of Washington State. So yeah, probably a lot of white people up there, I guess. I don't know.
Washington, probably.
So then in terms of position groups, I mean, they signed a few more wide receivers. They got 2 more running backs. They got a couple more linebackers.
Yes!
They got one.
Straight out of Letterkenny.
They got one tight end who had a RAS score that was worse than any of ours, probably.
I watched some tape on him, and the RAS score did not miss. He must have, tripped
right
and, fell asleep. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what happened.
It's
Right.
Because I think he got, what was it, a 0.36 RAS?
0.35.
Yeah, 0.35.
Yeah, I mean, that makes you feel so much better.
True for waking up.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah. But does anything stick out for you guys with these undrafted guys?
Just a tight end, because we got a freaking tight end. That's all I care about.
We got a linebacker from Alabama, Jalen Moody.
Yeah.
That's another interesting name.
Booty, rockin'
Hey. Booty to the booty.
But when I look at this, I kind of see, I see the offensive lineman, but I see special teams.
Uh-oh. Oh, no, wait a minute, guys. What about the great Bo Jackson's nephew?
Oh.
Oh, come on, Santori. Speed, buddy.
Cedric Jackson. Yeah.
He's speeding his way off the team.
He's a burner from Auburn.
Yeah. Bo's nephew.
Okay.
That's something.
Hey, we're really breaking the curse. Not only did we break the Bo Jackson curse of the playoffs, now we're signing relatives.
Exactly.
We're going full.
Yeah, they said we signed him. The first thing I tweet was, "We just got over this curse."
Yeah. Let's get over it.
Just bring the family in.
But anything stick out for you guys?
Other than Bo Jackson's nephew, now.
Did you say your stomach?
Yeah,
What?
it's pooched, man.
With the names. And not the
Hip
names
and hammer.
themselves. Not the names themselves.
Can we call Fiona Hippo Hammer now?
Hippo hammer.
No, there's nothing out of that group that actually does anything for me.
We'll see.
It might be the most underwhelming free agent. Like I kind of like the Jackson Kirkland pick just because there was a lot of promise at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So you never know. All these guys are going to be more than athletic enough to contribute. It's a matter of when it gets to guys like this, were they in the wrong system? Is it wrong coaching? Obviously, the traits and athleticism are there, but there's stuff beyond the traits and athleticism that make a good professional ball player. And what is it? And those guys probably are lacking those traits.
Okay, cool. I have one more thing.
Uh-oh.
Santori, I don't know if you were on when we were talking about this and I showed it to Greg and Bengal Dad. But there was something interesting when I was looking at Bengals Wire. They were showing pictures of each draft pick. And I'm going to present this here. Let me share the
What are
screen.
you doing, man? Are you okay, Santori?
All right. You guys see that?
The Bacon Ranch crispy sandwich.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I know, right?
All right, so we've got Miles Murphy, the first one here. Pick looks great. DJ Turner looks great. Jordan Battle, great. Chuck Sizzle, great.
Shizzle my nizzle.
Chase Brown. This is the picture.
This pissed me off. I couldn't believe this.
Oh, look at this
Look at this.
picture that they picked.
Didn't take you and him on to figure it out.
Why did you pick?
Clank.
Why do you pick that picture to showcase your speedy wide receiver, your tall Chris Henry type wide receiver? Why did you pick that picture?
God,
Well,
if he sucks, can we take his? Well, it's saved forever now because we're doing this. If he
wide
sucks, that's going to be the picture I show forever.
Dude,
No,
his,
don't
Really
Yeah.
thought this was the guy?
Yeah.
listen, his eyes are closed and the ball is past him.
I mean, how could they do this?
Yeah, but those quad muscles.
Look at that.
Wait a minute. They copied off the Michigan logo. Look at that, man. They just changed it to orange and black. Haven't you guys noticed the Michigan logo football helmet looks like a stingray?
Get Dalton
I guess.
signature on the phone. He can fix that.
Yeah, Dalton, help us out here, man.
Him and
Someone.
Billy Signs, they can fix it.
Jesus.
Hey, Matt, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you
Yeah.
for watching.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
it, buddy.
But yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, I don't know if Santori's seen that or not.
No.
And
That was good.
it's like perfect. It's like, oh goodness, it's so bad. Perfect.
But no, Santori's like, oh, the bacon chicken sandwich from McDonald's.
That's the picture. That's what I wanted to show.
I mean, Santori's eyes were wide open. He's like, whoa.
Hey,
But it didn't take you long to figure that out, did it, Santori?
No.
yeah, it's like, oh, all these
So,
pictures are wonderful. And then-
Back in 2007, there was I wish I still had the email. There was a picture. This was when they used to have like little fathead silhouettes on Bengals.com. They'd stick some in the corners, whatever.
Right.
And they had Carson Palmer throwing a ball, and they picked one of. And NFL quarterbacks do this all the time. It's just a bad look, and for people that don't necessarily notice it, you'd think, "What the hell?" But it was one of the ones where Carson's, geared back to throw, and the laces were out on the ball. He wasn't holding the laces.
Right.
They were like out this way. I took a screenshot and sent it to Dad, and I was like, I'm not a great quarterback coach, but I don't think this is right.
All right.
oh my gosh, yeah, that. Oh, I saw that, and I knew you had to see it. Just unreal.
Yeah.
But
But was it better than the bacon chicken sandwich?
No.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Santori, did you have a favorite pick of the draft? before we head out of here?
Not really favorite. I mean, I was.
Chase Brown, come on.
That's one of those ones that it's not often that I like really bang the table for a couple players.
Mm-hmm.
I did for Burrow and Higgins, and I felt great. I did for, and it's funny that half of that draft I actually banged the table for, that 2020 draft. I wanted Burrow, I wanted Chase, I wanted ADK or ADG. And I was like, all right, great. I got my guys. Back in February, I was banging the table for Chase Brown. Like if you Google or if you search my name on Twitter and Chase Brown after it, you'll see more than enough comments where they're like, "Who's the running back you take?" It says Chase Brown. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, I got my guy. Is he my do I think he's going to be like the best player out of that draft? I don't know, but was he one that I wanted and got? Yeah, so it's kind of neat.
Well, good. Yeah, that was my favorite pick. I mean, I like a lot of them, but that was me too. I like Chase Brown. I like the idea of pairing somebody because it seems like we're going to have Mixon. So I like the idea of pairing somebody like him with Mixon. Could be a nice 1-2 punch. And then throw Travion in the mix. Could spell probably either one of them.
I still have belief in Travion.
Absolutely. I do too. I got to send Ryan that the link of that. He asked for the link of that picture in his DM. So I'm sending
Oh my God. People are going to run with that and just give me crap for this.
No. The picture of Andre Yosevach.
Yeah, him dropping the pass. Yeah.
Oh, they might go at you because you.
Right. They might come at me and say, Greg, look at you. There's your boy.
Hey, Ryan, if you're still watching, just point out that I found it and I'm the one that said something about it. Don't put Greg up in it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, James.
Hey, I'm trying to save you. That's all.
Right.
But anything else?
Let's see here. Jonah Williams is our new right tackle.
New? Well, kind of.
Well, no, they said at first Jackson Carman, Santori. So what's your take on Jackson Carman? He sounds like he's more motivated this time, man. Oh, there we go. Dude, get his face on there. James, I will make a t-shirt into that. Get his face on there.
I'll do it.
Dude, do it. I mean, Santori, tell Ashley she gets all the credit. I mean, that was perfect.
I'll do that. Maybe while I'm watching some of the Reds game tonight, I'll work on that a little bit.
But no, Santori, in all seriousness, Jackson Carman seems like he was very positive. He's been doing yoga, doing swimming to help out his spine. What's your take on it? Seems like he's bringing in a better attitude. He had some growing up to do.
People are going to be really mad when I say this.
Oh, God.
This just comes from me being a people person.
Right.
Watching that interview with him where he was talking about all the stuff that he's doing and everything, he very well could be doing it, and that's awesome. That's great, and I hope it's working out for him.
Right.
James, you're in sales. So, our job is to read people, not necessarily the product. We are the people business, and the person falls in love with the product. You don't really sell the product. You figure out how to sell the person to the product, right? Man, his mannerisms were just someone that seems like he's so full of shit.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand listening to him talk. Oh, yeah, I'm doing gymnastics. Where at? Oh, at this place down the street. What's it called? Oh, it's this or something like that. Dude, answer the fucking question. Why do you got to act like that?
Yeah.
Like, you very well could be doing the work, but you still act like a fucking teenager when you talk to people.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, I'm going to sound old here, but if your hair's dangling down to here and you got to look up like this to talk to people, brush your hair out of the way, wear a hat, or get a fucking haircut. Like, you look like an idiot, first off. And that's someone that, like, has a giant beard and his hair is always long.
Damn. Hardcore.
Just the mannerisms of how he was carrying himself during that interview, the lack of eye contact and the speech patterns just were like, this man's full of shit. He cannot hold a conversation without, like, he's dodging questions and halfway answering them. It's no secret you're working out. They just want to know the damn name of the gym. You do Pilates? Oh, I've done that before. Oh, have you? Like,
Recently?
elaborate. Like,
Yeah, be more specific.
dude, you are not in a position to where you can act coy. You are not in a position where anybody really likes you. Like, you're going to have to fight, scrape, and claw to earn a lot of respect for this team. The national media doesn't like you. Other fans think you're a rapist. Like, you got a lot of ground to make up here to be acting like you're some hot shit in an interview for someone who is a healthy scratch all of last season.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it works out because I'm a Bengal fan, not a Jackson Carmen fan, and he's here. So he's part of the squad. You know, I hope it works out. I hope he's doing his job. I hope he's doing his best. I hope everything he's saying is true. I hope all the reports are great. Heard the same shit last year about how he was ready to take a step forward and be the starting left guard, and it didn't fucking work out.
Great shape.
Yeah, that backfired.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that whole interview to him in the locker room today, and the only thing I could think of was this guy's full of shit. And it's the first interview I've ever watched with the kid. I mean, it's just I couldn't trust a word that was coming out of his mouth. And I don't know him. I've never interacted with him. I don't know anything about him. This is not any prerequisite knowledge. This is not any kind of bias. This is the first interview I ever watched. And I'd like to say I'm pretty damn good at reading people. Dude, he's full of shit. If that's the answer at right tackle right now, you better find another one.
Yeah, no, they Jay Morrison or someone said he'll be on the team, but he does not see a scenario where it's going to be Jackson Carman, Jonah, and La'el Collins. He expects both either La'el or Jonah to get cut or whatever, be gone.
Yeah, dude, it's just he was carrying himself like he thought he was hot shit, and right. I can't stand that. It's one of those read the rooms and have some self-awareness things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't think you're hot shit after everything that's gone on.
Right.
And he had that I'm too cool for school kind of attitude, and it was like, man, this ain't it for you right now, dude. Like, there's one man on this entire organization that gets to act that way, and he opens a food bank and helps the poor. Like, there's very, very different attitudes between people who deserve to act that way and don't act that way. And it's always the people that don't deserve to act that way that act that way. I hope it works out. I just don't.
Bless you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't believe off-season hype. I don't. I never buy into it. There's always one or two people that get focused on the entire offseason. You're probably going to see 10 or 12 articles between now and that we actually see him on the field in preseason. And then, you can't hide from the tape.
Wait, did Bengal Dad, is the whole real reason why Bengal Dad left is so he could sneak Shiesty into Greg's house? Is that why he's sneezing?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I knew it. Oh, I knew it.
Santori literally, I'm walking up a hill. I'm like, what is Santori freaking FaceTiming me for? Then I see these two big guys just staring at me. I got scared crapless, and I farted, and I think I woke up the neighborhood. I had a scary fart thanks to you.
Yeah, Shiesty was just laying on the ground on her back looking all playful, and I was like, I'm going to FaceTime Greg and just flip the camera around.
And you hung up on me. It's like, what the hell, man?
Oh my
well, you went, oh, shit, and he ducked out of the camera, and I was like, all right, cool, and I hung up.
Bye.
And I walked away. I was like, thanks, Shiesty. See you next week.
Right.
Well, I think that, scary fart.
Yeah.
I think that we've had a pretty productive show. It
Yep.
started a little later.
Yeah,
Sorry about that, but we wanted to make sure that Santori was able to join us.
Hell yeah, man.
So had to start a little later, but I think it worked out.
Absolutely.
So, anything else we want to add, or do we want to hop on out of here?
I'm good.
We're good.
We're good. Well, everybody, we really appreciate you guys watching.
No, we don't.
Please make sure you have a good night, safe week. We'll come back to you probably Monday, I'd say. Just Monday. Yeah, we'll talk.
Right.
We'll put it on Twitter. You guys know that. We always try to make sure that we're keeping you guys updated. But
Yep.
everybody, thank you so much for
Thanks,
watching.
George.
Hooday!
Hooday.
We'll see you later.
And right into the stretch. Looking back and throws up the middle. Rose is on his way around. Picked up by Otis.
Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not.